VID0079. My aunt was killed in an industrial accident on an oil platform in the Gulf of Mexico. She didn't have a family, so her possessions went to my grandparents when the company got around to clearing out her mainland locker at the company-owned apartment she lived in. There wasn't much. Clothes, a laptop computer, some canned food, and some family pictures. They donated the clothes and the food. Her 1998 Focus went to them. They had one of her friends sell it in Corpus Christi, Texas, instead of worrying about transporting it to Colorado where they live. The things my grandparents had really wanted, like a silver locket containing the only picture of my grandmother with my aunt the days after she was born, had been on the platform during the accident, completely obliterated. If you've ever driven along the Gulf Coast, you know that oil platforms have a fire above them. This burns off any flammable gases before they enter the pipeline running to the mainland. Somehow that flame went out the day my aunt was killed. Combine that with a minor leak in the pipe, machinery spark, and you get a fire so hot it melts the steel beams of the rig. By the time the company stopped the oil flow, a crane, a helicopter, countless bulkheads had stacked and twisted with molten glass. Not a single person who had been on the platform survived. Many remains had been reduced to ash. Needless to say, the incident was pretty hard on my family. My dad and I were sad, but my mom and my grandparents mourned for almost a year before they started acting like their normal selves. My grandmother even started seeing a psychologist to help with her irrational guilt over the situation. It was a bad time. Like I said before, my grandparents live in Colorado. My mom and dad live in Beaverton, Oregon. I live in Seattle. We started using Skype to connect with my grandparents. It seemed to help them. But surprisingly, it was a headache getting them started on it first time. They had no computer, so they had to use my aunt's laptop. No doubt that brought up some emotion and slowed the process down. Still, after 2 hours, we were connected. During one Skype session with my grandfather, he asked me why someone might be modifying files on his computer. After talking him down from his initial thought that it was the hackers, damn rich Chinese, in his words, I figured out it was a Dropbox notification. The folder was called WorkVids, which didn't sound like it would contain private material. So I talked my grandfather through the steps to invite me to the folder so we could look through the contents together. It was pretty much standard stuff. Birthday parties on the platform, the helicopter landing, and the new ship disembarking. A few practical jokes. There was a few video messages that my aunt had recorded to send to my grandparents. The platform had no Wi-Fi, and the only hard line that was reserved was for work-related needs, which my grandfather got caught up on. I disconnected our Skype to let him watch in private and continued looking through the folder. All the entries had the names except for the last two, which had the default names VID0078, 0079. Clicking on those videos was by far the most disturbing thing I've ever done. My aunt was facing the camera with tears in her eyes. "We had an accident today," she said, there with a long pause. "As near as we can tell, Michael Guerrero fell from the crane and died on impact today. Teddy, Theodore Raskin, ran over to help him and slipped. She was overcome by sobs and turned away for a while. Teddy slipped in the blood and cut his neck on the broken glass from the crane. He was still alive when we found him, but he didn't make it. He kept pointing at Mike. I think he wanted us to take care of Mike first. That's how Teddy was. She sighed and shuffled around some papers on her desk. The door opened and an older man poked his head in, eyes frantic. Sylvie, you have to get out of here. Lisa fell into the water. The video ended. I hadn't heard anything from the news or anyone in my family about the accidents leading up to the explosion. Still, 2 deaths, or 3 depending on the person who fell into the Gulf, were easily eclipsed by an entire crew. It's possible the horror story was too long to tell. If the company and the news even knew what happened in the first place. Maybe the leak was so close to the time to the deaths that no one had any chance to notify the mainland. I clicked on the next video. My aunt appeared, covered in blood and oil. She looked far more tired than she had in the previous video. She was wearing the same clothes. She wasn't crying now, she just looked far away and dazed. Probably in shock. Something's out there. On the deck. Pushed Lisa over the rail. Julio said it looked like Michael, but Michael is dead. I saw his brain all over the deck. Teddy tried to save him, but died doing so. It wasn't Michael. I tried to talk to Julio again, but he wasn't at his duty station. Cookie found him in the mess hall with a knife in his chest. Then all hell broke loose. I put an order to meet in the mess hall, and 3 people were attacked on the way. 2 died. The 3rd said Teddy grabbed him from behind on his way and tried to stab him. He wasn't able to get away. His arm had been mutilated. The skin was... There wasn't much skin. And it couldn't have been Teddy. When we were all in the mess hall, we could hear laughing from outside. Shadows ran past the windows. The B shift decided to gear up with kitchen knives and go find whoever was out there. We waited 45 minutes and then we went to look for them. There was... Something had their arms tied. Their legs propped onto the ceiling. Their bodies moved up like they were sitting. Their faces were gone. You can't fight it. It seems like it's escalating the attacks. They started running from the shadows and ripping us apart. Steven was cut right open in front of me and my way here. The thing is pure evil. She paused. Something tapped on the window to her room. Oh God, it's here. I shut off the flame. We're all dead. Anyway, Martin and everyone left the room from A shift. They have our flare guns. We decided to shoot the pipe. It'll explode, but we're dead. All of us. And it won't stop. The glass shattered and my aunt gasped. Sylvie, said a strangled voice. My heart started sobbing again. No, Teddy. No. bloodied arm reached through the window and unlocked the door. A man stepped in, his clothes literally dripping with fresh blood. There was a large black cut on his neck that looked like it was oozing clotted blood. The video cut off. I copied the videos to my computer, then deleted them from my Dropbox, so my grandmother wouldn't find them.